if she's able to go to school, probably will not stay in school because she has no place to urinate or defecate. The problem about sanitation is that there is a link to allowing empowerment of women to allow them to have access to education, and this requires a sanitation approach as well. So it's not just drinking water. At Hopkins, we've developed an evidence-based approach to try to determine what should be done in this. And we've developed what we define as rapid response comprehensive water quality assessment toolboxes to assess the key microbial and chemical contaminants and evaluate select treatment options in real-world situations. The idea is detection and assessment, monitoring and evaluation with application with a feedback loop. So it's not a one-time deal. You go back and you learn, and you go back and you learn 10 years later. And we have decades of experience in doing this in different areas of the world. And these are the challenges of a short-term versus long-term assessments. So what is the appropriate technologies that might be considered? You have many different options for drinking water. You have a simple clay pot that you pour contaminated water on the top. It filters out, and you have a safe storage vessel here. It's about 2 liters per hour for this to work. It removes bacteria, but not the smaller viruses. You can have advanced membrane technology here with filtration as a system where you can generate hundreds to thousands of liters at a time. You can also take a packet, a sachet, and treat 10 liters at a time. It is a quick coagulation, flocculation, and disinfection system that's quite effective at a short, small volume. Or you can have water kiosks that deliver high-quality water at a localized area within a village. People come to collect it. The pros and cons? Well, these take power. It takes a lot of energy to produce water and to move water around. So power requirements are something to consider. These technologies on this side can be individual home, but every day they have to do it. If you have something that requires an individual, and most of the individuals are children, if they have to do something that takes 20 to 30 minutes to process 10 liters of water, that becomes very challenging to make that sustainable. So, what do we know about sustainability? We know that household point-of-use products can have a high effectiveness in reducing diarrheal burden. We also know it's challenging to make that continue on every day for decades for an individual to constantly treat their water within their homes. Hygiene interventions are also effective at reducing diarrhea, but compliance drops. If you do not have appropriate behavior education, if you do not reinforce that daily, you have a compliance level that drops down to very low within a few months. We also know that community-managed rural systems have improved sustainability. Empowering the people, predominantly the women, from the beginning has a greater chance of success. So what are some of these small water enterprises? And I define this as a larger volume access in many instances. But they range. They can be beyond the piped water system. They're adaptable. They're found throughout the world, from urban slums to rural villages. They function despite terrain or government boundaries and economic conditions, because you can take this water around to places that don't have pipes. They're pro-poor in many instances. There's no upfront connection fees. Customers can purchase a few liters to hundreds of liters, depending on their willingness to be able to pay, and it can be a source for local employment. However, in many instances, this is unregulated. The water quality is unknown. And some examples of this include entrepreneurs that are hauling 20-liter jerry cans from a source that we hope is high-quality water to distribute within a village. You have a woman here who's selling about 500 milliliter sachets of water on the side of the street, vending this water straight from the street. You have tanker trucks that can come in to distribute water. I note that these women are collecting it, and they're collecting it in open buckets. We'll talk about that in a minute. Or you can have enterprises where, at a community level, you produce high-quality water. The people come to collect that water and then take it back to their home. Again, there's a carrying issue there, but it's a way to develop a system where there is a potential of treating the water at appropriate levels at the village. But what do we know? We know that there's a lack of rigorous peer-reviewed research in the effectiveness of delivery of this potable water or drinking water. What's the effect on the household at the SIP level, from source to SIP, by using these small water enterprises? The health impacts and the ability to reach the poor households. Those billions of people that live on less than $2 a day, are they able to even afford the minimal amount of this water versus those that might have more ability to pay for it? We did one study example. I'll show you. We've done others, and this is in Ghana. Ghana has 51% of the population living in rural areas. 20% of the children under 5 have diarrhea in previous weeks, and 13% of the deaths in children under 5 are due to diarrheal diseases. This is a country that has some needs for water. And what we evaluated was in the lower part of Ghana, near Accra, were rural villages. And these rural villages had the opportunity to get a water kiosk put in at the village level. And Johns Hopkins went in there to do an independent assessment of these water kiosks. And the kiosks, or this water health center, treats surface water, which can be potentially highly contaminated, but they use a multi-stage filtration, activated carbon, micron filters, and ultraviolet light to treat this water to disinfect it. They have a community mobilization, hygiene education in conjunction with delivering water from this kiosk. And this is actually a philanthropic group that provided the funding for a for-profit company that was involved in providing these water kiosks with the understanding that the populations that they were supplying this water to would own the kiosk in 8 years. So the populations, these villages, put up 10% of the cost for this, and then after a period of time, they were going to own it. So the idea is to link this all together. And what we found is when we did a study, and just a snapshot here is the microorganisms in the water that was being used at these villages. There were 4 villages, and this is log-based 10 E. coli per 100 mils, so 2 is 100, 4 is 10,000, that the raw water, the water people were drinking from, was highly contaminated, hundreds to thousands of E. coli per 100 mils. This raw water that was then treated through these small water enterprise treated water systems had 0 E. coli coming out, so that the water was able to be high quality after treating it. What we then went to look for is at the households. We followed individuals back from purchasing this water to their homes, and we found high recontamination of this water at the household level. So high quality water that's then transported away is becoming somewhat less high quality. And the idea behind this is what is going on? What are causing these problems? Well, this high quality water that's treated at a kiosk with community mobilization and hygiene education, standards are that many individuals will purchase the water and put it in another container that they're more comfortable carrying. So the social side of things is they didn't understand. They wanted to carry something that was easier on their heads. The other thing that's important, as you see here, is they stored the water in open reservoirs within their homes. And so recontamination was very rampant. What's absent in that treatment process was a residual protection of the high quality water. You must maintain the quality of that water with safe storage and ideally with a residual protection. And that's usually chlorine, which has its own taste and odor issues in there that have to be addressed on the behavior side. So, as a snapshot, what do we have? We know that water is a finite and precious resource. All of us are involved with this. It's not a them, it is a we. Think about that when you're brushing your teeth tomorrow morning. Fresh water is not distributed uniformly across the earth. And many countries are facing water stress or water scarcity resulting in political conflict and economic hardship. We have the knowledge and the technology to treat water anywhere in the world. We can do that. However, if we don't incorporate appropriate selection of human behavior and economic capacity, those drivers from the beginning, not as an afterthought, it will be very challenging to have any system be sustainable beyond just a few years, with the goal being that we achieve 5, 10, 20 years out, and that it is virally transmitted to other villages by the cell phone phenomenon, that they understand that this is a higher quality water and empowering the people themselves. Acknowledgements, there's many researchers and students that were part of the Global Water Program at Hopkins. We've had funding from different areas and different sources, a lot of them Hopkins driven. And the Ghana study that I mentioned was in collaboration with Safe Water Network, who you'll hear about more tomorrow. With that, I conclude my talk. Thank you.